Hallo, hier ist Michael Adams für Stock-Telegraph. Eine der Companies, die ich ja auch im Stock-Telegraph Börsenbrief bespreche und die ich auch gerade heute ins Musterdepot gekauft habe, ist North Graphite. Ich hatte mit dem Spiro Kletas schon Anfang Juni in Vancouver ein Interview geführt und es gab in den letzten Tagen und insbesondere auch heute interessante Unternehmensnachrichten, und da habe ich keine Kosten und Mühen gescheut, zusammen mit dem Joachim Brunner vom Smallcap-Investor den Herrn Kletas jetzt live hier ins Internet zu holen und ihn zu den heutigen News zu befragen.
Guys, thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it. We've been very busy since we did our initial interview, and I guess we'll just talk about what we've been working on in the last couple months.
Perfect. Just quick information, North Graphite is listed on the TSX Venture and the symbol is V.NRT. The company is also listed on the German exchanges and I think on OTC. Is that right, Spiro?
Correct, on the OTC
What's the symbol on OTC?
BNCIF.
Okay, perfect. So, of course, we have the standard cautionary note, right? So that please that we are using forward-looking statements. There's also some conflict of interest on my end and also on Mr. Brunner's end. We both supply services to North Graphite. But now let's directly go into the news release which North Graphite has published on August 14th, which was really an outstanding news release, Spiro. You just need a really tiny amount of money to get back into an operational status. Is that right?
Yeah, the company's goal is to produce and sell graphite to the market, and our goal is to do that as quickly as possible and create revenue and cash flow for our shareholders. Our strategy involves buying past producing assets that have the potential to be brought back to life, to restart in the near future for little amounts of money. And this is a perfect example of that. The El Tejon flake graphite mine and mill, to the best of my knowledge, is Mexico's only past producing flake graphite project. It was built in 1980 by the government of Mexico. They doubled the capacity in 1989. It was sold around that time as well, and it was operated privately until approximately 2002. So going back to what my point was, is that all the infrastructure is already in place. There's roads, the mill is there, there's power, water. This project operated for 22 years, and we had Tetra Tech, which is a very well-known international firm, go down there for us and review the infrastructure and the existing plant and give us an estimate on what they would think it would cost to restart. And the estimate they came up with was $2.25 million, which includes infrastructure requirements, equipment and cleanup of the processing plant for the first line, that is, and approximately $5 million US to bring the process plant to full operational capability. We're extraordinarily excited about that. The other thing is they estimate 6 months for line 1 and up to 18 months for line 2. So our startup time and costs are significantly lower than most other junior graphite companies. Most companies that I know of that trade on the TSX Venture Exchange require new infrastructure, and they require over $100 million. Pardon me. Nearly $200 million in some cases, and to have a cost like this, we're pretty excited. As I mentioned, it fits in our goal to be one of the first TSX Venture junior graphite companies to produce and sell flake graphite to the market.
Spiro, two questions to this, and for a better understanding also for my subscriber. What was the reason why the mine shut down in 2002? And is there any resource estimated what you have on graphite there, or is it mined out, or nearly mined out, or what?
Yes, so the mine was shut down in 2002 due to the price of graphite, and at the time, large flake graphite was selling for less than $500 a ton. As you know, there's been a significant increase in the price of large flake graphite. I will say that historically, this mine produced some large flake, as well as medium and some small flake graphite as well. Every different graphite project, the footprint, the type of graphite that it produces is slightly different. So we have 3 different products that historically came out of this project. In the late 80s, in the late 90s, I should say, early 2000s, the graphite market was flooded out by Chinese production. It caused the price to decrease considerably, and that's why this mine shut down. In terms of a resource, there's a historic resource that's been published on our website and in our 43-101 technical report. So I urge everyone to go to the website and take a look at the resource. But in 1990, and you have to remember the mine shut down in 2002, there was just over 8 million tons of proven and probable at 3.54%. So we believe that there's considerable resource to go. We're not treating that as a current resource. It's not 43-101 compliant. I do have to stress that. But the mine was shut solely due to the price of graphite. It had nothing to do at the time with remaining resource.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So graphite, as you know, is really hot right now, and especially because of the Tesla guys building these gigafactory or whatever they call it. So is this a potential source for, did you even think about that? Is this a potential source for Tesla?
It could be. Ultimately, it's up to companies like Tesla to decide what graphite best suits their needs. Our goal is to be up and running before Tesla's gigafactory is built. So Tesla isn't the only buyer of graphite, as you know. There's been traditional users of graphite that have been around for quite a long time that we'd be more than happy to sell our graphite to if they are willing to pay us a proper price. Of course, we'd be happy to sell to Tesla as well. It all depends on a couple things: pricing and availability of product. Like I said, our goal is to be up and running far before they are ready to accept our graphite.
Right, and I was just wondering if there are other graphite companies around that are in a similar stage, and I have no idea how long it will Tesla take to set up their gigafactory, but whenever that is, I'm not sure if there are plenty of other companies that are already in production by that point in time. Do you have any insight on that?
It's pretty hard to tell. The only TSX Venture graphite company that is at production right now is a company called Flinders Graphite. They have a project in Europe, in Sweden. The rest of the companies on the TSX Venture Exchange, to the best of my knowledge, I will want to put that in there, that are in the development stage. So there's a couple that are at the pre-feasibility or feasibility level. But as I mentioned earlier, they require much larger CapExes to get up and running, and right. As such, they could be ready at the time, but they need to raise, as I mentioned earlier, 120 to 180 million and build their mines, and I hope for them and their shareholders that it does work out. We're taking a different approach. We think that with a $2.25 to $5 million US cost to refurb the mill, plus some additional cost to be up and running, I think our shareholders are in a great spot to become a revenue-producing graphite company that's selling flake graphite as well.
Spiro, with the 2.5 or 2.25 million for line 1 and 6 months and so on, do you know how much cash flow you will produce and what's revenue this mean?
We don't have a pre-feasibility study or a study as defined by 43-101 at this point.
Yeah,
okay?
For sure.
So, yeah,
but what's, you have for sure internal calculations. So what we can expect without any 43-101 things?
Well, I have to be pretty careful there in terms of reporting.
But maybe you can give me some data. Okay, the first line should have 250 tons. You say that's 3.5 gram percentage?
Correct. That's the average grade in the historic 43-101.
Okay.
Or the historic resource estimate, I should say, not 43-101.
Do you go into contract mining or do you mine by yourself?
In the past, there was locals from that area were hired on to be the miners, and there was an agreement with the mining union that's local there.
Okay. So and which price you can sell the average product? What you get out? So you said before you have some part of big flags, mid-sized flags,
Sure.
lower flags.
It's in graphite. It doesn't matter what you think you're going to get or how much you think you're going to sell. It only matters what you can sell and what the check comes in for. So I think that's a very important point, because ultimately the price is negotiated between buyer and seller, and there's a lot of variables in between, depending on carbon content, depending on the size of the order, depending on all kinds of different variables. So we know right now that according to industrial minerals that the price range for this type of graphite ranges for between $1,400 and about $850. For $1,400 for large flake, $850 for the fine flake is the last numbers that I saw. Those numbers could vary at any given time, though.
Okay.
So to make a long story short, I would love to provide a little bit more guidance, but at this point, we have to wait a little bit more until things have advanced.
Sure.
No, for sure. But
let me ask you another. Sorry, Joe, go ahead.
No, I have. But I can make my internal calculation on it. So
okay.
You can. I cannot. So.
I was just wondering, Spiro.
Yeah.
I'm really impressed by this 2.25 million, which is like nothing. Yeah, but still, it's an amount you have to come up with. So what's cash right now, and how are you going? If it's lower than the 2.25 million, what's your plan to raise that?
Yeah, so we are under that amount of money right now. We do not have $2.25 million. According to our last released financial statements, we had a couple $100,000 left. That being said, I think there was a lot of questions about, how are we going to move this project forward? And I think for us, it's right now we have to, pardon me, it's information gathering and release of information. We had the news release on the 14th. We had another great news release today that I think paints a much clearer picture of the direction that we can head in.
Good that you mentioned that. So that's the news release, which is just out for a couple of hours right now.
Right.
So yeah, maybe dig into this a little bit.
Yeah. So we've hired a group out of Mexico called Gestión Ambiental Omega SC. They're permitting consultants to the company, and we've hired them to reactivate all the old permits at El Tejon. And what's very exciting is that they estimate approximately 6 months, which fits perfectly in line with the 6 months that Tetra Tech estimates to restart line 1.
Right.
Further, and very importantly for us, is that we've been informed that we can start the repair and maintenance work on the mill immediately. So whenever we are ready to go, we can start fixing the mill. We're not talking about 2 or 3 years out down the line here. We're talking that we'll be able to have some immediate start immediately and immediately start preparing the mill for a restart should we choose to do so.
Okay. Yeah, I'm still wondering how you're going to come up with the 2.25 million. But having said that, let's take a look at the stock price. That's the 6 month chart for the shares on the TSX Venture. And I guess based on the news from August 14th, there was some really good upward move in the stock. It went up to 8. I'm not sure if intraday it was even higher. Is this the only explanation for this good news release? Is this the only explanation, or did you also, have you been on a roadshow or something like that, like getting the word out on various levels?
No, actually, I've been to site. I've been down to Mexico at the project this summer, and also these news releases. I think I'm very excited. The board is very excited about our project. And now that we're getting information out to the market about the El Tejon flake graphite mine and mill, I think some people in the market are beginning to take notice as well. And that would explain, the rise in the share price, in my opinion.
Yep.
going back to your original question about raising the 2.25 million or raising whatever money required, that's something that we're going to take a look at a little bit later on down the road. We don't have to do it all at once. We don't have to do all equity. We don't have to. There's a lot of options to us. The more we de-risk the project, and the more information we get out about the project. So we're working on several other initiatives from the company's, from a corporate perspective, in order to help us achieve that goal of moving this project forward.
Let me ask you one question, and then I can, at least from my point of view, maybe paint kind of a big picture.
Okay.
You have around 41 million warrants outstanding and a couple of options. So what's the strike price there?
They range from 7.5 to 15 cents.
Okay, but 15 is like the maximum.
Correct.
Okay, so let's
the options. There's some options that are priced a little higher than
okay,
that.
but the majority, right? So
the majority.
So let's just do a little bit of speculation. So if the stock went up to, let's say, 20 cents, or even 15 cents, then a big chunk of these warrants and options will be exercised, and this will bring in, I don't know, I didn't do the math, but it will bring in
$3 million.
Several million dollars, yeah.
Several $million. So you wouldn't even need to raise equity.
There's
Any
several
comments?
options. I mean, there's several options for us, pending, a variety of factors. But there is $1 million of warrants at 7.5. There's about $1 million of warrants at 10, and there's I can't remember the exact amount, but I believe at 15 there's about $1 million worth of warrants as well. So yeah, if the warrants do come in, it would provide us with a good piece of capital, definitely.
Right, and then out of as Joe was just doing his calculation, out of the cash flow from line 1, you could probably finance line 2. So
that's definitely an option, yeah.
Okay, I think that's something which makes the story even more interesting than it was already before. Yeah, I didn't really think about these options and warrants.
Yeah, and Michael, look, as I mentioned earlier, there's a variety of different options that we're looking at. This is one of them that you discussed, right? We don't have to do all equity. We don't have to do, debt. We don't have to do it all in one shot. That's what I mentioned earlier. You don't have to get both lines up and running at the same time. You can start with one and bring the other one on a little bit later on. That actually, in my opinion, would de-risk the project a little bit more, as the capital needed to restart would be less. But these are things that the board is looking at right now, and we don't have a decision to report to the market. When these decisions are finalized, they will be reported to the market via news release.
And I trust that you will have another video conference with us then, at that point in time, to go into more detail. Okay, so that was really good. Maybe just, I had a couple of pictures from the El Tejon flake graphite mine. Maybe you can just tell us what we can see there. But Joe, is there any question from your end right now?
No, there's only one question would come up in my mind. Do you have some old data from the old production? How much they produce a year? Was the 500 tons the maximum what they have to produce per day, or have you any other data from the old mine?
We do have some data. It was released in the 43-101 technical report that's on our website. So you have to, as I mentioned earlier, it was built by the government of Mexico with a capacity of 250 tons a day, and it was doubled. Second line was added in 1989, but it was run privately from then on. So the production was never really peaked out when it was run privately. Money was always an issue by the previous owners, and so the production statistics are available in the are listed, I believe, in the 43-101.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so maybe a couple of words for these pictures.
Sure. I will say just a couple quick things here, so I'll use my pointer here.
Yep.
You can't really see it right here, but here's the power line. Really important in projects like this, in that there's water and power right to the project. It was built by the government, like I said, of Mexico in 1980. So I think they did a beautiful job in setting up this mine and mill. What we're looking at over here is the El Tejon mill from the outside, and again, the first part of the El Tejon mill from the inside. I'll just move forward here. Again, the mill from the inside, as you see, the equipment is still there. It does need to be refurbished. It does need to be cleaned up. If you take a look at the report that we published, that was done by Tetra Tech, that we published on our website, they actually went through the process line one step at a time and made recommendations for every bit of the mill. So there is some cleanup and refurbishment that needs to be done and some replacement. But as you see, it's still in pretty good shape. It shut down in 2002, and it's been well taken care of since then. Here's a better picture of the power line that I was talking about earlier. I mean, vitally important for a project like this. It brings our capital costs down considerably. So, these are things that we looked for when we bought this project, and very excited to have it right now. This is the sign at the front entrance. It's in Telex, Oaxaca is sort of the area that it's in. It's about 40 kilometers outside of the city of Oaxaca, in the town of San Francisco, Telex, Oaxaca, or Telex for short, as it's called there. And it says, "Welcome to Graphito de Mexico SA." Graphito de Mexico is the Mexican company that we bought. We bought 97.5% of the shares. The other 2.5% is owned by the local community. And this is, a huge advantage to us. What you're looking at there is final bagged product. When this mine shut down in 2002, they turned the key, and that was it. So that's actually finished flake graphite product that still remains at site. And the real advantage for us here is that this graphite here can be sent out right away for testing to potential customers. So we don't have to wait to turn on the mill and start and produce some graphite. Here it is. We have existing product that remains at the site still, and we can send it out to potential buyers and users for their testing purposes. It's a huge advantage for us. I mean, not only that, there's also 22 years of customer history here.
Right.
So it all helps for sure. Sorry, go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you. So two questions. So first, was there some security on site because it was there for like over 10 years and nobody kind of stole it? That would be question number one. And question number two would be, could you just guess the value of this picture, what we can see? Just an estimate?
Okay, the first question is that the first answer is that the local community owns 2.5% of the project, and they're very proud and protective of the project. There has been security here, and I've been fortunate enough to meet the people of San Francisco, Telex, Oaxaca, and some of the old workers from the site that still keep an eye on things. So yeah, it's in phenomenal shape. And actually, I should mention that we also brought on a gentleman by the name of Cesar Guajardo, and we added him to the board at the end of last year. Cesar was the past owner of this project, and he has very good relations with the local community, with the people. He ran the project for the last, I believe it was 8 or 9 years, including he was responsible for all sales. So it's a huge benefit to have Cesar on our board. He's intimately familiar with the project, the product, the area, the people, the mill, the process, and it's a enormous benefit for us. It's difficult to have good graphite people involved with the company. They're hard to come by. The value, we estimate there's about 60 tons of final product left. So there's some good value there for sure.
Right.
I'll move forward a little bit. Again, this is a picture of the El Tejon mill from the outside. The open pit was at the top of the hill, and the way it was designed, as you move down the hill, the ore was pushed down the hill and into the jaw crusher at the mouth of this mill, and the final product came out at the bottom. Okay. And this is some of the equipment that still sits up just above the mill, but below the open pit. So the equipment's still there. It hasn't been. It does need some work. Obviously, it's been sitting for about 10 years, but all the equipment is still in place there. It's phenomenal thing for us to have all the equipment in place and in pretty good shape.
Right.
Go one last one here.
Yep.
Here you'll see a picture that I took of just some of the rock up by the historic open pit. I don't know how well you can see it, but here's all the graphite in the rock. There's some other pictures, I believe, on the website, and this is a bagging unit. So final product would go into these bins up top, and it would come down. You'd put a bag here, and you'd end up with these bags of filled graphite. Okay.
Okay. So maybe just go to the last slide. This is if anybody is interested in getting more direct information directly from Spiro. This is his contact data. And a lot of the information, and as you briefly explained, is on the website, right? So that's www.bignorthgraphite.com. And so from my end, thank you very much, Spiro, for taking the time to talk to us. Especially, I can imagine it's busy times with today's news releases. So thank you very much to give us some more insight. And we will bring you online again with the next couple of developments. Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate your time. I appreciate everyone tuning in to listen to this. And please feel free to contact us if you have any questions. I'm more than happy to hear from our shareholders or potential investors. Hope to talk to you soon.
Perfect. Please stay online, Spiro.
Spiro, one question from my side. The last one. Is before you say, okay, it was historical open pit, there was also going to underground, or now the new development should be going from underground or also from open pit?
It was always an open pit. They never went underground, although they did put some adits in as part of the historic resource that was done in 1990. To the best of my knowledge, when they finished mining, it's not because they had to go underground. It's just the price of graphite at the time that caused them to shut immediately. In terms of future mining plans, they'll be developed as they become finalized. We don't have a 43-101 or mining study as defined by NI 43-101 standards, but to the best of my knowledge, and given the historic resource and the historic pit, it was and would still be a open pit to the best of my knowledge, but that would have to be proven and shown to the market a little bit later on down the road.
Ja, also wir haben jetzt Spiro gehört, der uns ein bisschen was über die letzten News erzählt hat. Ich glaube, wir sind in einer ganz interessanten Phase für das Unternehmen, in einer ganz interessanten Situation. Also die Kosten, die jetzt geschätzt werden für die Inbetriebnahme der Line 1, also der ersten Produktionslinie, liegen bei nur 2,25 Millionen $. Das ist extrem niedrig und das Zeitfenster bis zur Produktionsaufnahme ist auch nur bei 6 Monaten. Das ganze Thema Graphit ist ja durch diese Tesla Gigafabrik, wo dann Batterien gebaut werden sollen oder Akkus besser gebaut werden sollen, wieder hochgespült worden. Und es wird wahrscheinlich nicht allzu viele Graphit-Unternehmen geben oder Junior Exploration Unternehmen geben, die bis zu diesem Zeitpunkt dann in Produktion sind. Also mit diesem Zeitvorteil, den Big North Graphite da hat, sind wir ganz gut dabei. Was nicht heißen soll, und das hat Spiro auch nochmal extra gesagt, dass sie jetzt zwingend auf Tesla als Abnehmer spekulieren. Ja? Aber es ist natürlich trotzdem ein ganz gutes Gefühl. Diese 2,25 Millionen müssen natürlich trotzdem finanziert werden und die Company hat nicht so viel Cash. Ich würde auch eigentlich hoffen, dass sie nicht auf diesem Niveau eine größere Finanzierung macht. Aber wie ich auch herausgestellt hatte, es gibt also eine große Anzahl von Warrants und auch Options, die, wenn die Aktie noch ein bisschen steigt, ein bisschen ist gut, also nochmal 50-60%, aber das geht halt bei einer Aktie, die bei 7,5, 8 Cent steht, vergleichsweise schnell teilweise. Dann dann kann man einen großen Teil dieses benötigten Cash-Bedarfes sicherlich durch die Ausübung der Warrants reinholen. Und damit, und jetzt spekuliere ich, kann man dann mit dem Cashflow, der aus der Linie 1 generiert wird, eventuell die Linie 2 aufbauen, sodass das, was wir sonst bei den ganzen oder bei vielen Junior Exploration Companies haben, ja diese permanente Verwässerung, vielleicht noch nicht ganz abgeschlossen ist, aber auf jeden Fall aus meiner Sicht bei Big North Graphite für die Zukunft beschränkt sein sollte. Also ganz interessanter Wert, ich werde Sie weiterhin auf dem Laufenden halten und auch den Spiro gerne dann nochmal, sobald es wieder interessante Unternehmensentwicklung gibt, nochmal hier online reinholen, damit er uns Rede und Antwort stehen kann. Vielen Dank für Ihre Aufmerksamkeit.